those of you who are here, some of you are students, some of you are new to the community, and some of you have been attending meditations for a while. So I just want to say welcome to everybody. Let's open our chat. And if you could just write in like where you are in the world, how you're doing today. I want to let you know that today's workshop really, in a way, brings together the work we were doing last month on power filling and empowerment more through meditation. And then our last meditation group, some of you were there, where we were working with the four immeasurables: loving kindness, compassion, equanimity, and sympathetic joy, or I like to call it double happiness. So today's session with modes of being will be bringing in elements of meditation, of energy exercises. We're actually going to be doing some heart filling, some clearing of our energy, and some energy orbits. And so the heart filling brings in that compassion and loving kindness. The energy orbits brings in that peace, that equanimity, and kind of protection for ourselves, and owning our own energy space. And then we're going to also be clearing energy today, and it's a creative process, let's put it that way. But when we clear, what we do is we kind of, like the windshields on a car in a rainstorm. We're just clearing away anything that's gotten a little dusty in our energy field, and it allows us to be a little more open to a process that helps us discover more about our authentic self. And that's what modes of being does for us. It helps us to, in a way, step into more of who we really are, not our conditioning from society, family, traditions, but really when and how we feel the most true to ourselves in a state of flow, present, that sense when time has just kind of feels irrelevant, like we're not looking ever, when we're in our real mode of being, we're not like thinking how long is this going to take. We're just there. We're in a flow state. So, and this doesn't mean we have to be in that mode of being all the time either. So we're gonna explore more about that. But I am going to be following 9 stages of group coaching with you guys today. So those of you who are Coaching Institute students, will you put next to your name what program you're in if you're able to, so I know? Now, of course, don't do that if you're driving. I see some folks in a car, so just do group today in a different way if you're in any form of transportation. Most important is your safety. All right, so I'm going to just call out stages as we go. So those of you who are learning that will be tracking that, okay? And then we have our private Zoom class after this workshop where we're going to break it all down. But so those of you who are students, you're a little bit in 2 different operating systems. I want you to mostly everyone do this for yourself today. But of course, if you're a parent, if you're a coach, this will help you also at that professional level too. So modes of being have a way of supporting our relationships, supporting our ability to understand others. So it's a very giving practice you're about to do for yourself. It gives to others as well. So if you're in group coach, you can put GCL. If you're an energy coach, EC. If you're in relationship coach, you can write relationship or RCA for Relationship Coaching Academy. And if you're an activation method, AM. Those are our abbreviations. Mark, if you want to put up our abbreviations in the chat so we know. And some of you are students from programs that Mark and I taught in the past that are none of those initials. Feel free to write about that too if you'd like. And this just lets us kind of know who's here. It lets me know if most of the people here are actually have worked with us. And this is open for everyone. So you guys know this is open for friends and family and for people who are not coaches. You don't have to be a coach to be here. You don't have to be a meditator. I think the only prerequisite is a desire for a little self-discovery, maybe more joy or peace or love for oneself, compassion. Those are good. Those are good reasons to be here. So let's begin with a little energy connection practice. And this is where we're just going to be tuning in now to our own energy frequency. Feel free to close your eyes if you'd like. You don't have to have your eyes closed, but you've just been sort of shifting gears from whatever was going on in your day into being in this group. And Mark, I don't know if there's some people who are unmuted. If you can help me out with that, that would be great. So
Got it.
just, and yeah, awesome. So just tuning in now to your own body, feeling what it's like to be you. Take some nice breaths, whatever that means for you. It might be a deep breath. It might just be bringing attention to the body and noticing that you're breathing. And letting your attention go to your feet and your legs and your seat. And just noticing that you're stable, you're present. Whatever position you're in, you might sit up a little taller. If you're lying down, you might stretch a little longer. If you're standing, you might just kind of grow roots down from your feet into the earth and stand a little taller. We can all do that, whatever position we're in, just creating that stability of a root system. And taking another nice deep breath. And as you breathe now, as you exhale, expand your energy out into the room you're in. Imagine that energy is something that moves and flows, that builds, that grows, and just allow your body, your hands, your inner being to kind of get a little bigger, a little more expansive, and see what it's like to maybe you stretch, maybe you yawn, maybe you look around, whatever you'd like to do. Your eyes can be open or closed. And just let that openness, that largeness fill the space in a way that feels comfortable for you, knowing that you are grounded, safe in your body, and you're also expanded. And just see what it's like to let that expansion be felt in the chest, in the face, in the hands, even around your body, around your head, your shoulders, your front body, your back body, your lower body. Just feeling that energy body and just knowing you're safe, you're present, and setting an intention. This would be stage 3. We're going to just, in this protective, open, expanded, grounded space, we're going to set an intention for ourselves for today's 1 hour self-discovery process. What's an intention you have? Is it to know yourself better? Is it to empower yourself? Is it to feel more love? Is it to be curious? To have focus? Whatever your intention is, just know it, feel it in your body. Take a breath with that intention. And now from this place of presence, let yourself expand to connect with all the other people here in group with you all over the world. And let's just imagine we're making a sacred circle together of shared purpose, of support, of self-knowledge, self-understanding, of healthy energy flow, and permission to be ourselves. So just honoring that you can hold this space very personally in your own energy body, in your own being, in your own physical body. And you can hold this space in a very connected, sharing, welcoming way for everyone here. And we create our own circle. And we also include those in the future who do this practice. We are together creating the energy of this circle for everyone. We're part of this whole. Okay, and just going from there, just make a little energy ball with your hands and feeling that wholeness in a very close way. Letting your energy be connected through the hands, opening your eyes, just feeling that connection through between the hands, just noticing this is the energy you feel through the meridians of your palms. Okay, and give that energy to your heart. Remember your intention for a moment and share it in the chat. Share your intention for yourself if you'd like to in the chat. Never want to push anyone to share something they don't want to share. But if you do feel like sharing, it helps us all to read each other's intentions. Active listening, focus to learn something new about myself, to connect more with my clients and focus, love and worth, be present, clarity, to serve others, peace and security, acceptance and empowerment of myself. Trust all that's happening now, be present, trusting the divine timing, and lean into the moment, calm. Oh, so beautiful. Okay. I love reading those intentions. When we read the intentions, in a sense, we are sharing the power of those intentions with each other. So it's let that be felt for yourself in a moment, for a moment. Even if those are not your intentions that you're reading, just honoring that quality of empathic joy, of sympathetic joy, of feeling, happy that someone is caring for themselves that way, the way you're caring for yourselves. And I'm having a lot of upward moving air. Energy is moving in my system. So excuse me if I hiccup here as we proceed. That happens sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little now, and this would be stage 4, about modes of being and what they are and what I mean by them. Because this is a word you might have heard in other situations and other teachings. And so I want to explain the way we're coming to this term through our method of activation method coaching. So a mode of being is like a state that you find yourself in when you are perhaps in a role or in an environment where certain actions are needed. So there's an action quality to it. So let me give you some examples. A person who is caring for children, right? That's something we can imagine doing, whether they're your children or someone else's. Someone is caring for children. Some people, as they care for children, will be very focused on kind of being a nurturer. Is the child feeling okay? Do they have enough food? Are they warm? There's the kind of nurturing quality that can be the mode of being of taking care of children. Now, someone else taking care of children might have more of an observer quality. They watch the way the child interacts with the world. They note it for themselves. They might even write it down. They make observations. They find ways for their observations to help that child that they're caring for. They're learning. They might be a learner mode of being. They're really learning as they care for the child. Someone else might care for a child in a creative mode of being. They're bringing in dance or song, and they're caring for a child through the mode of being of creativity. Someone else might be a teacher mode of being. And as they care for the child, their focus is, how are we going to learn today? What will I teach? How does the child learn? So you guys get it? One activity, caring for a child, many different possible modes of being. Now, all the time you're caring for a child, it's you. We're all children inside, right? And we all use these different modes of being, of relating to the world. Now, what I find really interesting is that when we're unhappy with our life, when we're stuck, I'm sure, I mean, you're a human, I'm sure you've had that experience of not feeling like things are really, going the way you'd like them to, or having a lot of bad moods, or just feeling low. This happens to all of us, right? Usually what I've noticed in talking to a lot of people and in myself is that my natural mode of being, so in me personally, Magali, I'm a creative. I like creativity a lot. I'm also a nurturer. I'm also some other things, but creativity is one of my top modes of being. And so if my day is not kind of filled with a certain amount of creativity, or for whatever physical reason, creativity is not flowing, life feels a little bit slower, a little more stuck, definitely less joy, definitely less love, definitely less flow state, right? So the cool thing about modes of being is we're all different. When I'm working with people, I'm not trying to get them to have my mode of being. I'm trying to help them figure out their mode of being. So one way we do this, and I wish I had made you guys a slideshow. I did send out a PDF to everyone. Mark, if it's possible to share the PDF that we emailed to the whole community with the chapter from the book, let's share that in the chat now too, just so people have that visual guide. I'm realizing I should have opened it up so I could share my computer, but I forgot to do that. But what I'll do is I'm going to read you some modes of being just so you get a sense. And then I'm going to also tell you a story about some people and the way understanding their modes of being has helped them. And I'm sharing this with you to kind of get you into an inner mood of noticing stuff. Then we're going to do a process where we activate deeper listening within ourselves. But now we're just using the mind for a few minutes. So some mode of beings are, and there's many more than this, so please write down some more if you think of some more. Connector, creative, problem solver, critical thinker, explorer, joker, free spirit, truth teller, nurturer, leader, bridge builder, mobilizer, peaceful one, healer, fixer, historian, balancer. I'm sure you can think of some more. So learner is one that comes to mind for me. Another mode of being, and I don't know how to really give this a term, but it would be a person who really needs to be in their body. So I'm sure you guys have known someone who, like, if you ask them to do a job, like where they're sitting at a desk focused all day on a task on a computer, they'll do it. They can do that. But man, at the end of the day, they're tired. But if you give them a job to do where they're out in the world, talking to people, walking, engaged with their body, or doing something physical, building something, planting something, boy, they're much happier, right? Oh, leader, that's another good mode of being. Thank you. Lover, great modes of being. And these are also a little bit related to archetypes, if any of you are in the program. So do you know what I mean about when someone really needs to be in their body? And often we notice this in childhood. So one of the ways that we can get kind of information about ourselves is we can remember, what were we like before we had a lot of programming about how we should be, maybe before age 7. Some of us were dreamers. My favorite place to be when I was a kid was on this ledge my house had a big cement wall next to it, and I would sit on this ledge with like a drop down of, I don't know, 20 feet. At least it felt that way to me. Maybe it was less. And I would read a book there all afternoon, sitting right on the edge. Now, as an adult, I actually don't like heights. They freak me out. But as a kid, there was something about being there submerged in a book that was very, just hearing the sounds of nature, that was very, I call it the dreamer, but I was also reading. And I was also taking a little bit of risk. There's a little bit of that risk taker. So could risk taker be a mode of being? It could be, or explorer, adventurer, discoverer. Yeah, great. I love the shares here in the chat. Everyone should read each other's shares. That's awesome. And Mark just shared the excerpt of the chapter Modes of Being there in the chat also. So I think you're getting a sense of this. I'm going to tell you a quick story also about a coaching client I had, because I want you to understand how this relates to a bigger picture of relationships with people and things like choosing a career. So a mom came to me for coaching, and really she wanted me to coach her 18-year-old, but the 18-year-old was not really interested in coaching. So I said, let's, you and I work together. And what she explained to me about her 18-year-old was that they were in college, and she was very worried about them emotionally. They were pre-med, and this was very important to the parents, that this was a daughter, that their daughter become a doctor. And the mom who was doing my coaching client was very worried that her daughter would not become a doctor. And I said, what's your worry? And she said, my worry is that she's going to move to another country and live far away from us, and I'm never going to see her. And I said, so that's interesting. I mean, that's not something most parents worry about with a teenager. Why is that your worry? And she said, oh, because my older daughter moved to Japan and we never see her. And I said, okay, that makes sense then. This happened in the family. And then as I learned more about her daughter, it turned out that when she was 16 or 17 in high school, she organized a trip to Cuba, raised all the money for her high school class to go to Cuba, planned the whole 2 weeks there, was really happy doing that work. And she had told her mom that if pre-med didn't work out, her plan B was she would become a tour guide and move to Cuba. And so the mom was worried. Now, I thought that was really good news, because the way I interpreted that information about this person, I didn't know. So of course it's with a grain of salt. I don't know what that saying means, but I love those sayings. So my hypothesis about that was that while there was something in this person, this 18-year-old, who wanted to be of service and work in medicine, there must have been some modes of being there, or society gave them to her. There was also a deep mode of being a planner and being an explorer, an adventurer. And the way the coaching then went with the mom was my kind of intention, my hope that the mom shared with me was that she would be able to accept her daughter more and more the way she is. And through that acceptance, their relationship would strengthen, and her daughter would be able to speak to her about difficult emotions, and the mom would be able to speak to her, and their relationship would get closer. And what the mom did throughout the weeks we worked together was she actually asked her daughter to help her plan a special family vacation later that year. And she really honored, and just somebody here is unmuted. If you could mute yourself, that would be great. Just check it out. So what they did together was the mom and daughter, but really the daughter planned this family vacation, and the mom gave the daughter a lot of credit and thanked her and appreciated the skills she had as a planner. And it was a somewhat adventuresome vacation, I believe. This was a while ago. This was over 10 years ago. But it really helped me as a helper understand that everyone wants to be seen for their own truth, and a mode of being is a form of that truth. So in another example, there was a dad I was working with. This is a lot of examples of parents. But this dad was a single dad of a young child, I'm not sure, somewhere between like 7 and 10 years old. And because he was a single dad, the mom was totally out of the picture. He was quite serious. It was about making sure homework was done, reading together. You know, he had a lot to do. He didn't have time to date. He didn't really have a lot of fun. And that was one of his, worries about himself, was that he wasn't modeling for his son or for himself that he could have a good time. And so as we discovered more, actually working with modes of being, he learned that in his past, he had been the joker. He had been the funny one. He made everyone laugh, but he had a situation in his family where a relative of his was a very mean joker. And that made this man go, I won't be that, because I won't be cruel with my humor. And it was actually his father who had been cruel with his humor, playing practical jokes. So this man had made the decision, my natural mode of being is not good. It hurts people. And he had sort of separated from that. He pushed that mode of being away from him. And so through the exploration that you're doing now today, he discovered that this joker was very much a true mode of being, and that he could be a loving joker. It could bring connection and stress relief. And he made plans for how to use that mode of being with his son, how to use that mode of being in dating, how to use that mode of being with clients. He was actually a hypnotherapist too, and with his parents who helped him raise his son also. So modes of being can help us in all of our relationships. And if we've kind of sent a mode of being packing, it's good to notice that and call it home. And this is where we're also doing some power filling. If we take a shamanic lens here, we're calling back our healthy power from our natural mode of being. So if someone also finds that they get a job promotion into a new role that they don't like, even though it's better money, and they thought they wanted that job promotion, like an example we often give, sorry if you've heard it before, is a friend of ours who's a nurse. And when he was promoted to be the manager of all the nurses on his floor, he became very unhappy, even though it was better hours, better pay, more time with family. He was no longer taking care of patients. He was now managing schedules and whatever you do as a manager of many nurses. And so his natural mode of being a caretaker and connected didn't have enough, what's that word, like showtime. It didn't have enough space in his life. And so sometimes, like in this person's case, they didn't want to stop getting the extra pay and being a manager, but they had to bring into their life more ways to connect and be of service at that real connected form of being a caretaker. So many times what we'll find out about ourselves is like, great, I know I have these natural modes of being, maybe 2 or 3 that have been sort of sidelined, or they don't have enough time, but I can't change my whole life. And of course, we would never want anyone to make some drastic shift because they realize their natural modes of being. Instead, it becomes, how do I bring them back just a little bit every day for 10 minutes? Maybe once or twice a week, I do this activity that really honors my natural mode of being. And that might be journal writing. That might be going on an adventure on the weekend, getting lost. That might be organizing something. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be a job change. It can be something we are bringing into our day or our week. Sometimes, in my case, it's remembering at the beginning of the day. Like today was great because I remembered in preparing for this workshop, I remembered how truly creativity is my primary mode of being and how often I put it on the back burner. And just bringing in that intention, okay, honor that creative mode of being, honor that more often. I don't know exactly how that'll work out today or tomorrow or this week, but knowing that that's true for me gives me just a little more ease, more flow, more joy in the day. Because it's like saying hi to a part of ourselves that's been there, but unseen, not appreciated. And so we can all do that. So let's now, I bet some of you guys have already been kind of thinking this and this one and this one. So do you have 2 or 3? Write them in the chat if you do. You don't have to. I'm going to take you through a process now to enrich your experience of the modes of being. And we're also going to use some energy exercises and some creative mind meditation to support that. Okay. So awesome. Deb wrote connector, problem solver, critical thinker. Elizabeth wrote creative, nurturer, teacher. Joyce wrote Christian, healer, creator, connector. And more, I love this. Empowerer, sure, that's a great one. Player, I love that, Kat. Player, connector, nurturer, organizer. Great. Listener, problem solver, humorful. Free spirit is there. Fixer is there. Love it. Love it. And by the way, those of us who feel connected to a lot of modes of being, I almost feel like that is a mode of being. like the universalist or something, like in the Enneagrams. I don't know if any of you guys know that there's like, I think the number 1 that is like, it's kind of hard to know because it's very wide. And sometimes that is the quality that we have. We don't want to get stuck in on any one mode of being too long. So you can kind of notice that. Do you have any worry of being kind of stuck in one mode of being? Is that ever an issue for you? Yeah. And sometimes that's also if we look at it from the problem point of view, sometimes the problem we're having in a role in our life or a stage of life is that we're forced into one mode of being a lot, like too much of a good thing. Like anyone home with young children, and maybe you love taking care of your young child. It's awesome. And everyone who's been home before taking care of young children knows that sometimes it's almost too much of a good thing and you just need a little, you need that long shower or that walk outside where you're just aware of yourself for a little while, So it's very interesting to look at, is it just too much of one mode of being? And some people will also notice, wow, my family really sort of drove home to me that I better be this one mode of being, that I better use it all the time. Whatever my natural state was, didn't matter. You needed to take care of the younger kids in the family, or you needed to get out there and compete. So certain modes of being are really hard, actually. Like I think a lot of breaks in family systems can come from pushing a person into a mode of being that's not comfortable for them, like kind of forcing them into a mode of being that does not feel right. So, common one we think of probably is like the free spirit, who needs to be wide and expansive and allowed to be in their imagination, and is forced into being competitive and driven by certain rules of society, and you can kind of imagine how that's very difficult. Okay. Let's switch modes now. Not modes of being, but let's switch modes to our process. And this would be stage 5, guys. So I have a few notes here about what I'd like to do. So we're going to start with a little bit of energy exercises. And so, I sometimes just start by flicking the fingers or making a tone. No one can hear you if it helps you to just you've been in learning mode, thinking mode, and now we're going to just clear a little bit. So just taking some deep breaths, it might help to make a tone like om or ah or ooh. And I like to just kind of feel around the face, the top of the head. So kind of massaging the space around your crown chakra, your face, your ears, your back of your head, your neck, down your body. Just give yourself like an air clearing massage, like you're wiping away any energy cobwebs, and let it go down the front of your body and the back of your body too. Just imagine that sort of clearing, lovingly circulating air and space around you, clearing anything that felt stuck. Your body might move a little. Just let it move. Let the fingers wiggle. Let the toes move. And if you feel like it, you can shake a little. Shaking is a good release. And when you're ready, going into a more still posture and just imagining now, and here we're really using our imagination, just imagining a beautiful waterfall that comes right from above down. And it might be that you just lean into that waterfall. You might call it a waterfall of grace, a waterfall of love, of joy. Just letting that waterfall, however you imagine it, it might not be water at all. It might be a shower of light. It might be a sense of appreciation of nature. Just imagining this sort of going through you and around you. And it's a gift. And just having that intention to receive that waterfall, that connection with the universe. And from there, we're just going to imagine something we love, anything at all, something you appreciate, that you value. Just bring your hands up and imagine you're holding it. You might, if it's a sunset, you might have to make it very small in your hands. That's okay. Maybe it's a person or an animal or a place in nature, and then just appreciating it. And we're going to do several. So just pick one thing you like and then bring it into your heart and take a deep breath and let that fill your whole body. And exhale fully. And now imagine something else you appreciate, something you like. This could be something you do with your body, an activity. It could be stretching. It could be anything you enjoy, a hot bath, a nice walk, a practice of some kind, and hold that in your hands. Again, you're making it small enough that you can hold it in your hands. And that action of imagining it small, it intensifies it. It makes it more like an energy medicine that you can then just breathe in and bring it into your heart and let it go through all of the cells in your body. And just resonating with that frequency of something you appreciate. And when you're ready, you're going to do that one more time, holding in your hands. Let's choose now a place that you like, a place that you like. It could be a mountaintop, a garden, anything at all that you really appreciate. Holding that in the small form. So you're concentrating it as a pure energy from that place that you like, and just holding it and appreciating it. Takes focus to do this. Kindness. And then breathe it into your heart. Breathing in the energy of that place that you love. Letting it fill your heart and your whole body as you breathe and connect. Okay, awesome. Now we're going to do just 2 energy orbits. So letting your hand go to the space kind of in front of your ribs. And you can use a hand or just your attention. I like to use a hand to kind of guide me. So the hand is about, I don't know, 12 to 20 inches in front of you. And just slowly bringing the hand up. So you're just guiding your attention around you like an orbit. So slowly, slowly with that hand or just with your attention, bringing your awareness up and around your head. And slowly, of course, the hand might not be able to go all the way around your back, but just imagining that it's going behind your head, behind your neck, your upper back, your middle back, lower back, around your seat, or if you're standing, all the way down your legs. Let it go, circle all the way, slowly, slowly, until it's underneath your legs, underneath your feet, going back up and around, over the feet, over the ankles and shins, the knees, the front of the thighs, the front of the hips, the lower belly. And here you are back to in front of the solar plexus area. And just notice that took attention, that took focus, that was beautiful. Now you can decide, you can go up and over again, you can go down and around, do it your own way. And now as you do the second round, if you want to imagine that you're tracing your energy field and that your energy field is full of a kind of quality, whether it's light or color, emotion, sound, metaphors, but just keep your attention moving up and around or down and around in your own way. And if there's any spot that it's hard to sense, that's okay. Just imagine it, think about it. Oh, the back of my head, kind of feeling into my ears now, whatever it is. And just keep going in this circle, guiding yourself. Let your own voice guide you now. And wherever you're at, you're doing a great job. Keep going. Okay. And when you come back to that place in front of your body where you started, just acknowledge yourself. Maybe put your hands together and give yourself your own deep bow, your own gratitude. And that's a very centering, stabilizing practice. It helps our energy if it's overexpanded or underexpanded. It's a balancing practice. So, now I'm going to just walk you through some questions. So this would be a good time to open a doc or take out a piece of paper. So I'm wondering if you could go back in time to a time in your childhood when you felt a natural mode of being. This might have been a really good day. It might have been something you did every week or every day or once a year. And just noticing what that activity was or the way you felt in that activity. Maybe it was being asked to help in some way and you were able to do something that felt really good, like, oh, I like to organize things, or oh, I like to make things look beautiful, or oh, I'm great at telling jokes and making everyone laugh. I enjoy that. Whatever it is, healing, taking care of pets, just something from childhood. Write it down. My childhood modes of being, and maybe there are several. There might be several. And it might involve something like learning or talking or being quiet or watching things, whatever it is for you. And just notice kind of who you were before you became the adult you. Who were you before you became the adult you? Does an age come to mind? It might have been late teens. It might have been 20s. It might have been 10. I don't know for you. It's different for everyone. Was there an age of who I was kind of before I became the adult me? And just honor that you, honor that part of you that is still here. And I'm just wondering then, when you were a young adult, whether it was your first relationship away from your family, or your first job, or going to school, or some other kind of marker in your life. What was a common mode of being for you then, kind of as you left your family space? What was a mode of being for you then? Was it really flavored by that stage of life? It's good to notice that. Was it a helpful mode of being? Was it more challenging? Sometimes we remember, oh, it was really hard because it wasn't natural for me. I had to adjust. Or sometimes we remember it was really easy because suddenly I could just be me. I didn't have to fit into a family system or a school system or a society system. So what was that for you? Kind of that leaving home stage. And now let's look at, take your time. I don't want to rush anyone. So take your time with that. Now we're going to be doing kind of like all the decades together. And I want you to trust yourself. If one decade sort of shows up more, maybe you're quite young and it's 1 year or 1 month, whatever it is for you. Does anything show up as kind of a highlight of like, oh, this is when time flowed really easily? Was like when I got to feel the most natural in my mode of being. When was that? What was that like? Was there a name for that mode of being, or do several come to mind? We can call this phase like time flows naturally. Could be right now. Time flows naturally. And I love the shares in the chat, by the way. Love that. So just write that down for yourself. Time flows naturally. Do other times in your life show up? Kind of like, it could be now, but it could also be from 20 years ago. And if times show up the opposite, like I'm only getting those times, Magali, that were really hard, like when I was not in my natural mode of being, then good, perfect. You're getting important information. Or maybe you're thinking about the present moment and what's not happening, and that's okay too. We do not have to, like, this is not a positivity exercise. This is a truth-telling exercise. We're getting to know more about our own inner truth, and it will show up in different ways for us. But let's see if you can kind of come now to the moment, to your day-to-day now. And when in your week or month or day do you feel that most in flow, most natural? Is there a certain activity? Is there a certain quality? Would you give it the label of a well-known mode of being, like some we've talked about, or a lesser known mode of being? For you, it might be quite unique, like observer with humor, creative with my hands, connector with humor. Like we can get very specific. Really good to notice this about yourself and just get more detailed in your noticing. And if it helps you to like close your eyes and not write, just kind of notice internally and see what shows up. You might get to the place where you're feeling the energy of that mode of being more than able to describe it. And that's a really deep kind of empowerment experience when we can feel the energy of that mode of being and know that that energy is there for us whenever we want it. Actually, whether or not we're in an activity or a role or an action, it's just there for us as a quality of the universe. And let's see, is there anything that comes to mind now about your day-to-day life? A thought, an intention of how you want to honor one of your natural modes of being more. Now, this is different than society's to-do list. This is not about making yourself better at business. This is not about making money. This is not about having popularity or any of that. This is just you, your natural mode of being. Maybe it's looking at the moon. I don't know what it is, but it can be a very inner experience. And it can be a very outer experience that may take, taking action in the world. That's okay too. Just notice what that is for you. And this is like an intention setting for your day or week, but make it as easy as possible. And again, sometimes it's just finding what is the energy of that and honoring the energy of that natural mode of being more in your day to day without any actions. All right. So those of you who are following along with the stages, because there's quite a few of us here today, I'm just going to ask for sharing in the chat. So this would be stage 6, but we've already done a little bit of stage 7. We've already done some commitment setting. You were just doing commitment setting, right? You were setting another intention for bringing in that mode of being into your life. And we can do more of that. And we can also do sharing. Who wants to write in the chat a way why doesn't everyone write down 1 to 3 natural modes of being for you? And I want you to know whatever they are, what matters is that you're honoring them. It doesn't matter what they are. There's no getting this right. There's no like, good job, you want to help people, or good job, you want to make something beautiful. None of that. All of that's out the window. This is about what is true for you at the deeper level. Beautiful shares. Wow, love these. Yeah. And if you wish, if you've already written them down, see if there's several, see if like, even if you read your 3 together, if you can kind of feel them in your body, feel them as maybe you see things, you're more visual, maybe you feel them more in your body, maybe you hear more messages from them. We could go deeper now with a process of using the senses to get more experience from them. Or we could go, I'm just giving you kind of the way I think about things. We could go more into planning mode, planting seeds. and this would be the commitment setting. What's a seed you want to plant in your day that honors one of those modes of being? I'm using a metaphor for this, a seed that you're planting that honors one of those modes of being. And maybe it's tactile, maybe it's using your sensory experience for it. Maybe it's a message. I'm going to remind myself of this message. Maybe it's visual. Maybe it's action taking. What is it for you? Again, no right or wrong. This is for you. I know one of the way things can get very unique and particular to one, it was a breakthrough for me when I realized that I loved being in public spaces alone. So I loved being around the connection of other human beings, watching them, appreciating them, really loving, but not engaging on a personal level. And it kind of stumped me for a while. What is something wrong with me that I like to just sit in a cafe for hours, absorbing the energy of other people, enjoying them without talking to a friend or doing anything, kind of weird, Magley. But what I realized was this was a natural mode of being. It was relaxing because I like relaxation a lot, but it was also stimulating, open, connecting. And in my own way, it led to creativity. That's when I would write. That's when I would get an idea. I needed to be in a relaxed, shared atmosphere. So that it took me a while to figure out what that was about. And there was judgments for sure. Because we get, obviously you guys know this, we get sold a lot of messages about the way we should be. And we get pretty angry at ourselves, some of us do, for not doing things in a way that's been sort of prescribed. But this is kind of an unwinding of that. And it's saying, no, what is true for me? And how do I kind of honor that and allow that naturalness? All right, so you guys are doing wonderful. I am going to invite you, actually, I'm going to get a download of this chat. So if anyone has a question for me that you just feel like this is an urgent question around this topic, I'll see if I have time to take a couple of questions. We might run 5 minutes late. Write down any questions you have about this. And this is, we're doing a workshop with many people is different than a smaller group coaching session where everyone would get a chance to talk. But I want to give space for your question about your mode of being, because sometimes it's thinking about the question and putting it out there that is much more important than anything I would share with you about your question. It's asking that question, like me asking myself, is this kind of weird that you like to be in cafes without engaging with anyone, and kind of looking at that deeper? Well, oh, great. Okay, I got a private question to me that I think would apply to all of us asking this. What makes the natural mode go away? So ask that of yourself. Great question for everyone to ask. If you found that you had a natural mode of being, let's say when you were a child or in a certain stage of life that you're no longer in, what made it go away? Was it timing? Was it responsibility? Was it programming by the world? Was it sometimes our bodies change and it's a little harder? We have to get very creative to access that same mode of being, right? Anyone who's been like an athlete of some kind who can't be that athletic anymore knows what I'm talking about, right? And so we have to make adjustments to enter that mode of being without the same tools that we might have had in a younger self, right? And so there's a good challenge, free time becomes less as we get older. And I hear a lot of sort of yearning people have for a younger stage when there was less responsibility. more ease in the body, more ease in social life, that kind of thing. That's really natural. So here what you're doing is like you're going into the past and you're saying, oh, that's the treasure that I'm going to plant seeds for now. It's going to be different in my life today, but I can still nurture those seeds inside of me. Can there be negative modes of being? Sure. And we might get kind of stuck in a repetitive mode of being, like believing we have to be a critic, for example. Being a critic can be a beautiful mode of being if it's creating wisdom and insight and realization and sharing. But being a critic all the time can kind of bum someone out, right? So we can kind of look at, and by the way, Mark, I think we've got some unmuting going on. So let's just look at that for ourselves and just notice, were there some maybe societal modes of being that we took on that now we've got to work with? We kind of got to massage them, bring a little flexibility into them, maybe notice when they're being activated and say, I want my more empowered mode of being to step in. Okay. I'm going to do a little closing practice now. So you've set that commitment for yourself. You've planted that seed. You've asked the question to yourself, or maybe there was no question. That's okay. And let's just close with a coming back inward, just noticing our breath. And if you can, put your hands on your legs and just let your hands connect with your knees or your thighs, and just feeling that connection, honoring yourself, honoring the connection within. And as you take a deep breath and ground your energy, just imagining your energy is lower in your body, stable, present. See what it's like to bring attention to the back of your body, the back of your head, the back of your heart, the back of your lower back. And in this back body connection, there can be a kind of leaning into one's inner truth, one's higher self or true self, connection with our soul truth. And just invite a wisdom thought or picture or felt experience, a knowingness about your natural true mode of being. Just invite that knowingness through the back body, knowingness, emotional feeling, words of wisdom. It might come as a sensation, it might come as a picture. And you're really supporting your own intuitive guidance when you do this. So just honoring yourself, and now connecting to the front of your heart, hand on your heart. Give yourself a little drum beat on your heart, hand on your belly if you want a drum beat there too. And just giving that self hug. Give yourself a bit of a hug, crossover. Okay, you did awesome, guys. That was a lovely hour. I really enjoyed doing this with you. And next week we'll have meditation group at the same time, same place. I'll send out an email to everybody. And of course, if you're interested in more of these processes, some of you might have seen in the email, I just released a new book called the Activation Method Workbook, and the website is activationworkbook.com. You can get a free classroom there of guided meditations that go with the workbook. Whether or not you buy the workbook doesn't matter. That's a gift to you. But of course, you can get the workbook also, and that has 27 different processes like this one. And I even recorded an audiobook if you're interested too of the Activation Method Workbook. Okay, and a printed version is it's been proofed, it's being printed. So those of you who want the printed, it's a nice thick one. Too bad I don't have it here to show you. Actually, our dog chewed it. As soon as we got the printed proof, she chewed the binder, but that happens. All right, guys, be well. And group coaches, I'm meeting you in the other Zoom. So group coaches, check your email for the second Zoom, and we will be there together in 2 minutes. Okay, see you soon. Bye, everybody. Be well. Take care. Big hugs.